beliefs are basically the essence of our thinking. They're kind of the rules we live our life by. They can be ways of processing or filtering information. I think, at any given time, there's just so much information in the world. And so we develop kind of these rules of thumb for interpreting information. And those, are reflected in our core beliefs. And our core beliefs also come out in the way that we act, right? And so that's sort of the link between core beliefs and how we act, and also that influences our feelings. Because if we're processing the world through a core belief that is really negative, we're going to feel differently than if we are processing through a more kind of learning, growth mindset. Core beliefs develop over time. Basically, you have to think about core beliefs as something related to learning, right? So how do you learn stuff? Any way that you can learn stuff, that can influence a core belief. So, from the youngest age, we have parents and guardians telling us things, maybe influential grandparents, siblings, peers, teachers. For me, I love reading books, so I have been influenced by books. Television shows, movies, media, you name it, it can have an impact for people. So we know that core beliefs develop over time, and sometimes people are really in touch with their core beliefs. They have a strong sense of who they are and what they believe, and other times there are just some core beliefs that kind of just are hanging around, and we go through a stressful period and maybe they get activated, or they change over time. You can be, treated really badly, maybe as a youth or a child, or even later in adulthood, and that can really kind of change things, change how you look at yourself and change how you look at other people, the world, even the future. So, our core beliefs are really important in terms of cognitive behavior therapy and approaches we can take to get people feeling better. Common core beliefs in depression center around negative views of the self, negative views of the world, and negative views of the future. So kind of like the I suck, the world sucks, and the future sucks. Why this can be particularly problematic is that if that kind of cycle continues and builds, it can lead to hopelessness. So if you really start to think that you're just a real failure and you have nothing to offer, and you know what, nobody's going to help you, and there's no one's going to love you, and then you're looking at the future and thinking, this is never going to get any better. How are you going to feel? You're going to feel depressed, right? And this goes on long enough, you're going to start to feel helpless and hopeless. And we know that feeling hopeless is a real risk factor for committing suicide. And so it's really important to get in there and kind of examine your core beliefs and build on positive core beliefs. So even the most depressed person, you can usually find some strengths, some things they believe about themselves or the world, that give them hope, some reasons for living, and really, really build on that. So there are many cognitive, common cognitive core beliefs in depression, but I would say those are the biggest themes. But they can really be anything from, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, like an I'm and then something bad is a common theme. Core beliefs can influence how you're feeling by kind of being a filter through which you process events in your life. So let's just say you're going to go snowboarding for the first time, okay? And let's say you're going with a friend, and you go snowboarding, and instead of it being this like kind of beautiful, fun day you thought you were going to have whooshing down the mountain, you spend your entire day on your butt. Really, you don't get up. You get up maybe for a second, and then you fall. You get up again, and you fall. You're tired. You spent like $100, and that was the reality of your day. Okay, if you went into it with the core belief, I have to be perfect to succeed, versus the core belief, you have to spend a lot of time, on your butt before you can learn things. Learning new things takes time. It's going to have a different impact on, one, how you feel at the end of the day, and two, what you do next, right? So if you have the sense that, oh, well, I guess I just suck at snowboarding, because and that would be kind of like an automatic thought, which is influenced by the core belief, I have to be perfect to succeed, then you're probably not going to go snowboarding again. So you're not going to learn that skill, right? Whereas somebody else who, is maybe preferred, like, I spent the, day learning, and, that's kind of par for the course. That means next time I'm going to be spending less time that way, and then the next time I'm going to get even better. And I learn things along the way. You'll be more likely to go back. You'll be more likely to try again. And that will make you happier, because you will, have a skill, and you will maybe open the world up to something more enjoyable. Not everybody's going to be good at everything, and not everybody's going to like everything, right? And so for me, when I'm working with clients and we're talking about core beliefs, I kind of approach it like core beliefs can kind of be like your boss beliefs, and you want to make sure you choose them, because you want to live a life of choice. If you never want to go snowboarding, if you really don't like it, who cares, right? Like, some people don't like sports, some people love sports, some people love reading literature, other people don't like that. It's not about that absolute idea of, this is good and that is bad, but more you want to lead a life of choice and preference, and not, kind of be dragged down by these core beliefs. You want to be able to give something enough of a chance so you can figure out, do I really like this, or do I just hate feeling bad at something, right? Because you don't want to close doors. At the end of the day, we live in BC, so, snowboarding is something that maybe people could try here. But other people, it's really not going to make much of a difference in the quality of life if they never snowboard. But what about relationships? What about making friends? What about applying for jobs and going on job interviews? Those make a difference, right? And so, working with core beliefs is figuring out, what's important to me? What do I value? And really focusing on strengthening core beliefs that you want to have, that you want to believe, and, kind of working to not be so influenced by some of those more negative ones that might not even, be so true. What I find is that a lot of people I work with, their core beliefs, when you ask them, about other people, they were like, oh, well, I believe that for other people, right? And so, there's a clue. If you believe it for other people, that all people should have a chance, that if you make one mistake, you're not a total failure, then that's probably closer to your true core belief than the one that might be kind of, popping up and contributing to low mood and anxiety and things like that. And so you want to, one, start calling out those thoughts, and two, acting according to your values, according to the new core beliefs you want to develop, versus those old sort of bossy thoughts. Maybe like, if somebody gave you a huge bag of clothes, or like, if you had no clothes at all and you got a whole bag of clothes, you're like, woohoo, clothes, right? But then maybe you get a job, you have more money, and over time you might be like, well, that one doesn't really fit me anymore, so I'm going to pass that on and get something new. And that one, it's scratchy. I don't actually really like, how that feels. That's not working for me. Or, I've changed shape, or the styles have changed, that kind of thing. With core beliefs, sometimes it's like you never clean out your closet. You have all these, beliefs, and something that can just like jump out at you if the closet's too full. So working with core beliefs, kind of cleaning out the closet. What do we got in there? Let's look. What do you want to keep? What needs to stay in there, but we can maybe, kind of fold it up neatly. And what can we let go? What can we let go? And so, I really find working with core beliefs is so valuable, because if you can hit on one that someone didn't realize they had, whether it's positive or negative, it's, you know, it can be a game changer for people, and it can be really rewarding. There are many different CBT techniques to change core beliefs. To start off, you need to identify the core beliefs, and you want to target some for change, whether that's target a new one for strengthening, target an existing one for strengthening, or start moving away from one that's less helpful. To start moving away from one that is less helpful, you might want to look at, you know, that good old CBT technique of examining the evidence. You can use that for automatic thoughts, and you can also use it for core beliefs. So what evidence do I have that this belief about myself is true, or about the world, or about the future is true, and what evidence do I have that it's not true? And you really start to build up your case and see how that is weighted. And you can do that the same for new core beliefs, right? You know, you can look at, okay, what's that, if my current core belief I've realized is that I'm unlovable, and I want to develop it into a core belief that says I'm lovable, because I believe that everybody is lovable and everybody has something to offer, and the world needs everybody. You know, if you really are looking at it that way, you start building, what is the evidence? One, I believe that everybody deserves love. Everybody can be loved. You know, that's some evidence there. You might want to then go back and look at your history, and instead of, you know, kind of having that mental filter on all the times you were rejected or not treated well, go back and go, oh, remember that time that somebody said I love you, or remember that time I got that hug after that, you know, breakup from my friend. You know, I felt love there. And so kind of go back and it's like if you had this sort of story of your life, you know, the facts are still the facts, but it's kind of looking at it at a different lens. I like thinking of life, you know, kind of as a story or book, because I'm a big book person, but you can think of it as, I don't know, a Netflix series with episodes or something like that. You're on a new episode, and this is the one where the hero or the heroine has learned something new about themselves, and it's changing. You know, all those, you know, the breakups and the heartache and the maybe getting fired from a job has led to this point. And rather than this being the point that it's all going to go downhill, this is the point where there's learning and there's change and there's growth and it's exciting. And what do you want to write? What's in your hero or heroine's future there? And so for me, I like to think about core beliefs there. What have you learned, and what do you want to be different? And so kind of really building on that, practicing that, you know, rehearsing. And this is where the sort of cognitive techniques meet the behavioral or action techniques, acting according to the new core belief. So rather than if it was one that would say like, I'm unlovable, and then you wouldn't say, go out and meet new people because you think, well, they're just going to reject me, and that feels horrible, and that also then just proves that I'm unlovable. You know, go out there, you know, pace yourself, gradual exposure, but open yourself up to the opportunity of being loved, you know, of loving other people. You know, if you're afraid of failure, if I'm a failure is one that's driving you, go out there, purposely make some mistakes, you know, little mistakes. You know, any mistakes you notice in these videos, I'm doing them on purpose. They are a behavioral experiment, you know, to just show that you can find something valuable in what people are saying, even if some of the things that they're saying are, that wasn't really that useful, you know, to kind of focus on that idea that there is no one right way. There is not such a thing as perfection. That, you know, I would say that healthy core beliefs are flexible. You know, they give you some wiggle room, and humans need wiggle room.